Hi, everybody. Welcome to Katie in the Morning. I'm Katie Page, Director of Member Relations at the National Association of Healthcare Assistants. Today is Wednesday, and we are officially halfway through National Skilled Nursing Care Week. The other day, actually, I think it was Monday, we talked a little bit about how to kind of connect with the elders, the community, coworkers, and this year's theme for National Skilled Nursing Care Week is sharing our stories. It's about finding that connection between each other, kind of finding that common ground, and kind of growing that relationship based upon those similarities and those connections. One of the things that I forgot to mention on Monday that is a very, very, very big item that people can connect with is animals. There are stories, there are happy moments. You bring a puppy into, like this guy, into a facility, and you will still people start talking and interacting that have never, ever, ever in the history of history spoken a word to you the entire time that you have worked in a facility. One of the things, though, that I would like to point out, and I really don't understand the disconnect here, is abuse. If you were to see like a puppy or a kitten getting abused out in the community, you would automatically say something, right? I mean, I would if I saw somebody walking this guy ahead of me down the street and was like kicking him or jerking him out of hand, I guess the word is I'm looking for. I would immediately stop that person and say, hey, take it easy. He's just a puppy. He doesn't understand. Well, you can kind of relate that to elders. We get into this profession and we are working in the facilities and taking care of people for family members who can no longer do things for them that we are trained and paid to do. One of those things is to keep them safe and protect them. So when you walk into a room, like a kitten, for instance, we'll go back to the animal versus people thing. I've seen horrible, horrible stories on Facebook with like cats getting set on fire. And there was an incident when I lived in Iowa. I was probably like 19, 18 at the time. There was a video that was released of some local boys that were burying cats up to their head in sand and then hitting their heads with golf clubs. This is a very extreme example, but if you were to walk into a room or out and about and see that happening, you would immediately stop it. Majority of us would. That goes back to the emotions that we were talking about the other day that are developed really in the early stages of life. That's empathy and compassion. Those are also feelings that we carry with us, and expressing those emotions and kind of fine-tuning our reaction to those emotions throughout our life. But it kind of comes to a halt when it comes to humans, though. If you walk into a room and the CNA or it doesn't even have to be a CNA, nurse, housekeeping, laundry, are acting out of hand with that resident, we have a tendency to kind of fall back and kind of question ourselves about whether it should be reported or not. It definitely should be. I mean, if you walk in, the first thing that you need to do if a resident is in physical danger is to separate that person from the resident that they're endangering. Walk in, say, hey, it kind of seems like you need a break. Let me take over for you, and then report it immediately. You do not have the 24 hours that we used to have according to CMS regulations to report physical abuse. You have that 2-hour span, and that is it. Everything should be reported immediately. If you're questioning if there's a situation on Facebook the other day where a CNA wanted to report a coworker, but the coworker was the cousin of the DON. So she thought the DON was going to take that person's side. I know you guys have heard of the chain of command where it goes from like CNA to nurse to charge nurse to assistant DON to administrator, from administrator to corporate. Lori often refers to that as when the poop hits the fan ladder. It's really what that is. So when it comes down to it, the DON is going to appreciate you coming and letting them know that this is happening. I don't care how well they know that person. Everybody has those moments where they kind of lose it. And unfortunately, CNAs have a tendency to do that in not even just I don't know why I keep saying that, not even just CNAs, but nurses, dietary, laundry, they kind of hit that breaking point in that 8 hours that they're at work. And it definitely is something that we need to take care of right away. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about who to report it to, how to report it, and how to prevent those abusive situations from happening to begin with.
We look at NACA as the professional organization that supports the CNA, just like the American Association of Long-Term Care Nurses supports the RNs and LPNs.
As a state executive, I can tell you that the energy and the empowerment that this organization has given to our state has truly enhanced the depth of membership and the work that we do as a state association. I am very, very proud of our connection and our partnership with the National Association of Healthcare Assistants.
For more information, visit us online at nacacna.org or call 417-623-6049. From the Heart, a weekly segment with John Willard, airs every Tuesday at 2:30 Central Time on CNA TV.
Welcome back to Katie in the Morning. Today we're talking about abuse in the nursing homes, not just nursing home, but skilled nursing setting, period. If you come into a situation where you are you're in that situation and witnessing abuse, or if you feel like there might be some abuse going on behind the scenes, but you can't prove it, either way, that needs to be reported. The first person you should report it to is your charge nurse. When you do report things, make sure that you're writing it down initialing, or have the nurse initial that you reported it. That way you're making sure something's getting done. If it goes like kind of there's no attention that comes to it, then you go to the next person, either whether it's charge nurse, nurse manager, like I said, DON, ADON, administrator, just kind of climb that ladder. If nothing is getting done, you do have the ability to call state yourself. You can report it anonymously, so that way there's no chance of retaliation. I know that a lot of facilities say that there isn't going to be any backlash on anybody that reports things to the state, but we all know the truth of that matter, and yes, it does. It may not be your DON, it may not be the management, but there is always some kind of, your coworker. Well, why'd you have them come in here? This is all your fault that we're getting surveyed or we're getting an incident inspected. Well, of course we are, because we're there to protect and keep these residents safe, and we can't do that without bringing the kind of dirty laundry to light. For instance, I know you guys have probably all heard the story about the father of, oh man, I'm going to forget. He is the Secretary of Defense, I do believe. His father fell out of the chair at a nursing home, hit his head, got some brain bleed going on. The CNAs begged that nurse, begged her to send him to the hospital to get him checked out. She sat him up in the chair, or they sat him up in the chair. The nurse didn't take any neuros, anything as far as that goes, and he actually ended up passing away. Now, my thought is, if the Secretary of Defense's father is not safe in our nursing homes, that's kind of a red flag. That's something needs to change, and the people that are going to change it are the CNAs. There is one administrator, there is one DON, there is one ADON. We can't expect them to change the entire facility. There are, depending on the facility that you're working in, whether it's home health, assisted living, skilled care, long-term care, CNAs on a general basis outnumber the nurses 3-1. They outnumber the ADON, DON administrator 5-6-1. And that's per shift, by the way. That's not as a whole. So the ones that are going to change it, the ones that are going to kind of keep that ball and get that ball rolling are the CNAs. We are the eyes and the ears for the residents, and it's come to the point now where we have to step up and be the professionals that we claim to be. We take that oath when we sign on to be a CNA to protect these residents, keep them safe, and keep their best interests in mind. And I think that's kind of the things that kind of fall in the background when we kind of hit that moment and take that hesitation and really get scared, especially to the younger CNAs that haven't ever seen anything like that before or haven't had that experience and that training that the seasoned CNAs have on a year-to-year basis. That's one of the things that they constantly drill into our head. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. If we don't, who will? So that's really something you have to keep in mind for the older CNAs. I shouldn't say older, more seasoned CNAs that are training those younger CNAs. Make sure that they know it's okay for them to stand up for their residents. The preceptors, especially if that's the person that they want to come to report it first, that preceptor should go with that person to the charge nurse. There's a witness right there saying, yes, he or she did report it on this date at this time. Nothing was done if it's that sort of a situation. It just seems like this year there are so many stories. I mean, a story upon story upon story of coming out from long-term care facilities of the lady that passed away. She died, was eaten alive by scabies, the sexual abuse, the neglect. I mean, the list goes on and on this year, and I'm personally, I've had enough. I'm a professional. I work in nursing homes still. I may be a professional development coach in an office, but first and foremost, I am a CNA. That's what I've done for 15 years, and that is not going to change. So I would like to see CNAs kind of standing up and being the people that we say we are being. If we truly love our residents to say the way that we say that we do, we're in this because of our residents. We don't quit a facility even though we're short staffed because we love the residents. So it's time for us to kind of stand up and take that charge and change the industry of long-term care so that people feel safe again and they feel protected again, and that they know that they're loved and that they know that they're cared for by professional CNAs. I thank you guys all for joining me, and I will see you right back here tomorrow for Katie in the Morning.